In 2017, NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick entered free agency. Since then, he has not been rehired in the NFL as a quarterback or an NFL player in any position, coaching position, or any employment that has anything to do with the NFL. It's important to note that Colin Kaepernick is a black man. It's important to note that Colin Kaepernick, throughout that past season and a little bit before that, knelt during the national anthem to show solidarity with Black Lives Matter, to bring attention to police brutality, and to also speak against racial disparities and inequities and police brutality in a whole in the country of the United States of America, and to address many of the inequities and the disparities that have been here since the beginning and inception of this country. What's fascinating is that Colin Kaepernick has been entirely defined since then by his stance on compassion for Black lives. It's been politicized. It's been deemed as, is he employable or not? It's been deemed, is he athletic or not? And since then, his entire being has been defined by just kneeling for Black Lives Matter. What then happened to Colin Kaepernick on the flip side was, instead of being reported as showing compassion for Black lives, what folks found was the decentering of his message and centering it to this idea that he was being anti-American, that because he was kneeling during the flag, he was against the country, he was against the troops, he was against the flag, he was against everything that the country stood for. However, when you look at what the flag represents, like really think about it and look at the roots of the United States of America, an entire country being built on disposable labor that is almost entirely not white, how could one not question the legacy and the origins of a country like the United States of America, and still having the same tendencies of behavior and public executions of people of color that it did in the beginning? So Colin bringing attention to that seemed to bring tension to a lot of the folks that were trying to center it to the narrative that it was not. Now, when we think about an athlete, when we think about a celebrity, when we think about an artist that is Black, we seem to always look at them first through the prism of ethnicity and race before we look at them as who they are and what they're doing. For Colin Kaepernick, this was undoubtedly so. He was not just a quarterback. He was not just a football player. He was not just a person that was standing up for Black lives. He was a Black man standing up for Black lives. And he was viewed as a Black man first before anything else. And therefore, he was blackballed and he was stiff-armed out of his job at the NFL. And then we have, on the other hand, Tom Brady, an NFL quarterback who is still employed, who is also white, and publicly caped for Donald Trump before his inauguration. Tom Brady recently won the Super Bowl, and there's not been really any mention of Tom Brady's politics in supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump, known to exhibit behavior that is racist, sexist, xenophobic, misogynist, you name it. And in Tom Brady's victory in winning the Super Bowl, nobody seemed to subscribe him or link him to his past caping for Donald Trump or his support for Donald Trump. As a white football player, why was it that he was never viewed through the prism of his politics? And that is actually political, to cape for a politician. Colin Kaepernick, on the other hand, didn't really cape for any politician. He just said Black Lives Matter and police brutality is happening and it needs to stop and people need to talk about it and this needs to end. So, why is it that we politicize a Black person's values and principles, but we don't politicize a white man's political affiliations? Think about that. And I'll leave you with this. If Tom Brady knelt during the anthem, do you think he'd still be employed?